What if he never really wanted to love you? What if, deep down, what he wanted was to become so important to you that you could no longer imagine your life without him? At first, he may make you feel like the most special woman in the world. He notices everything. He remembers the smallest details. He tells you that you're different from every woman he's ever met. He gives you attention you didn't even know you were missing. And you think, finally, someone who truly sees me. But then, something changes. The messages become colder. The affection becomes unpredictable. The man who once couldn't get enough of you suddenly makes you feel like you're asking for too much. And slowly, you begin asking yourself, what did I do wrong? But sometimes, the real story isn't that you became less lovable. It's that the relationship was never about love in the way you thought it was. It was about control. A person with strong narcissistic traits may depend heavily on external validation to maintain their sense of importance. And when you first give them admiration, attention, affection, and reassurance, you can become extremely valuable to them, not necessarily because they know you deeply, but because of how you make them feel about themselves. You make them feel powerful, desired, important, special. And this is where the relationship can become dangerous. Because when someone is emotionally dependent on your admiration, your independence can begin to feel like a threat. Your silence becomes a problem. Your boundaries become disrespect. Your attention toward other people becomes jealousy. And your ability to say no becomes something they want to break. At the beginning, everything may feel intense. The compliments, the attention, the promises, the chemistry. But eventually, reality enters the relationship. You have your own opinions, your own needs, your own boundaries, and you stop being an idealized image in his mind. You become a real person. And sometimes, that's when the dynamic changes. The same man who once praised everything about you may suddenly criticize the things he once admired. Your confidence becomes arrogance. Your independence becomes selfishness. Your emotions become drama. And suddenly, you're no longer trying to build a relationship. You're trying to get back the version of him you met in the beginning. This is one of the most confusing parts. One day he's affectionate. The next day he's distant. One night he tells you how much you mean to him. Then he disappears emotionally. You don't know which version of him you're going to get. And this unpredictability can create something psychologically powerful, intermittent reinforcement. When affection appears randomly instead of consistently, you may become even more focused on getting it back. You start waiting for the good moments. You analyze every message, every silence, every change in his tone. You tell yourself, maybe he's stressed. Maybe I said something wrong. Maybe if I become more loving, he'll come back. And without realizing it, your entire emotional world starts revolving around his behavior. This is where the relationship can cross a serious line. He doesn't simply want to know where you are. He wants to know who you're with. He doesn't simply express jealousy. He wants to decide who you can talk to. He doesn't simply tell you that something hurt him. He makes you feel guilty for having boundaries. And eventually, you may find yourself changing your behavior just to avoid his reaction. You stop wearing certain things. You stop talking to certain people. You stop expressing certain opinions. You become careful with every word, not because you want to, but because you don't want another argument. And that's an important moment to recognize, because love says, I trust you. Control says, prove yourself to me. Love respects boundaries. Control tests them. Love wants you to have a life. Control wants your life to revolve around it.
What if,
Eventually,
deep down,
you may stop asking,
what he wanted was to become so
why is he
important
treating
to
me
you
this way?
that you could no
And
longer
start
imagine
asking,
your life without
how
him?
can I change myself
At
so he'll
first,
treat me better?
He may make you feel like
That
the most
shift is
special woman in the
devastating.
world.
Because now you're no longer evaluating his behavior. You're evaluating your worth. You start thinking, maybe I'm too sensitive. Maybe I'm asking for too much. Maybe I'm difficult to love. Maybe if I become quieter, he'll love me again. And this is where manipulation can become deeply damaging. When someone repeatedly makes you doubt your own perception of reality, You may begin trusting their version of events more than your own experience. That's one of the patterns associated with gaslighting. And no, you don't have to accept that. But here's the question many people are too ashamed to ask. If he hurt me so much, why do I still miss him? Because missing someone doesn't automatically mean they were good for you. You can miss the person you believed they could become. You can miss the beginning. You can miss the moments when everything felt perfect. You can miss the feeling of being chosen. And sometimes, you aren't chasing the person standing in front of you. You're chasing the person you met at the beginning. That's why leaving an unhealthy relationship isn't always as simple as saying, "He's bad, just leave." Emotional attachment can be complicated, and understanding that doesn't mean excusing harmful behavior. It means understanding